Folks, let's be honest here. This debate over Confederate monuments, it's never going to end. It's never going to end. So here's the latest on the statue they took down in Richmond, Virginia, this statue of Robert E. Lee. They found a time capsule at the base of this monument. And what they're planning to do, these ultra-leftists, these SJW types, is replace it with a new time capsule. And wait till you hear what's in this new time capsule. And they're going to bury this new time capsule in the same location where they took down this Robert E. Lee statue. You gotta love the logic of the ultra-left. If there were a Confederate monument out in a field somewhere with nobody around, no civilization, just a whole bunch of flocks of birds, they would demand that that statue be taken down because it offends the birds. I damn well guarantee you that's what they would do. You want to bet on it? So I have an article here from the New York Post. This is by Callie Patterson. Came out yesterday. I believe that's how you pronounce her first name. It's C-A-L-L-I-E. Once again, last name Patterson. So this came out yesterday, September 9th, Thursday. Title of the article: 133-year-old time capsule at foot of Robert E. Lee statue to be replaced with new capsule. Goes on to say this: a new time capsule filled with artifacts representing the past year, including a expired Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine, a Black Lives Matter sticker, will replace the 133-year-old copper capsule believed to be buried at the foot of the toppled Robert E. Lee statue in Richmond, Virginia. And the new capsule, announced by Governor Ralph Northam earlier this year, you remember this guy, right? He was embroiled in some type of sex scandal, may have had a child by another woman. Talked about this in my last video, I believe it was. He made these controversial comments about abortion. We went on to say this. He says that the capsule contained 39 items. He says the resilience and struggle of life within a pandemic and highlight the events and people that have moved us forward in removing this Lee statue. That's our motivation here. That's what we're going to do. And we're going to feel good about ourselves when we do it. How is this going to stop racism, Governor Ralph Northam? And furthermore, COVID-19 has no relation to Robert E. Lee or the Confederacy. Robert E. Lee and the Confederacy did not cause COVID-19. They had no bearing on what happened last year with George Floyd. Robert E. Lee has been dead and gone for a long time. The Confederacy, it died in 1865. Pardon me, folks. I'll tell you something, my throat is going today. I've done this video, I don't know in how many takes. And there's just, you ever have those days where your throat gets sore, you get like phlegm caught in there and you just can't get it out? Oh, I hate that. I just hate that. Well, getting back to the video. So this is what Governor Ralph Northam said about this new time capsule. It's going to have these 39 items, and this is going to represent our struggle, our resilience of our struggle in life against this pandemic and racial inequality. But once again, Robert E. Lee and the Confederacy have nothing to do with COVID-19, George Floyd, or police brutality. So other items include a Virginia is for Lovers sticker pride badge, flyers from the Stop Asian Hate protest, photo of Virginia State Police helping patrol D.C. during the January 6th Capitol riot, George Floyd memorabilia, and poems and essays from a group of local middle school students, as well as a black ballerina photo, I believe it is, or either a black ballerina figurine that's going to be included. But no reference to the U.S. Constitution, the American flag, the Declaration of Independence, or any white figures who helped contribute to the civil rights movement. And the article goes on to say the capsule will be buried at the removal site of the Confederate statue where Lee was honored, which stood for over 100 years. Once again, the crazy logic of the left. They're going to bury this new time capsule in the same location where they took down this statue, which they say is evil because Robert E. Lee was an evil man. The Confederacy was bad. Well, if that's the case, why the hell are you burying this new time capsule at this site where you took down this statue, which was a monument to somebody or an institution that you thought, an idea that you thought was wrong and morally flawed? So the 21-foot statue was removed on Wednesday with the help of a crane and a team of construction workers who had strapped a bright orange harness around the body of Lee and his horse. And hundreds had gathered nearby, including Black Lives Matter supporters, who erupted into cheers and sang Beatles songs as the statue was lifted off its pedestal. Now, the article doesn't say they sang Beatles songs, but when I was watching the live stream of this here on YouTube, they were singing Beatles songs. It was like something out of the playbook from these liberals in the 1960s. In all these college campuses, it hasn't changed, folks. It hasn't changed in decades. Governor Ralph Northam first announced plans to remove the statue in June last year, after George Floyd's death sparked nationwide protest over racial injustice and police brutality. Once again, Robert E. Lee, the Confederacy, has nothing to do with what happened in 2020 with George Floyd. That was an incident, an isolated incident between a dumbass cop and a dumbass criminal. That's all that was. And taking down these statues, or trying to replace this time capsule with a new time capsule, is not going to stop racism. Oh, we'll get into what's not in the time capsule. Not just the fact that you don't have any reference to the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution or the American flag. But we'll get into here in just a moment what is not included in the time capsule, which I believe it should be. So as I ask this question here, how is this all going to stop racism? Removing these statues or replacing this time capsule. Not going to change it one iota. Or prevent anything happening in the future. So here's the dilemma. They do not have any reference to Muslim Americans in this time capsule as far as I know, or to Jewish Americans, straight white men and women. Aren't we told that women are oppressed in this country? Both white, black, or if they're Asian, Hispanic. That women in general in the United States of America are oppressed. They are always up against the glass ceiling. So no stickers of, or pride stickers for straight white men and women. Being straight, isn't that a sexual orientation? No mention of Egyptians or Moroccans who are in this country, who have contributed to our culture. No calls for an end to slavery in the Sudan in this time capsule. Shall I go on here? Or no calls to end oppression in these dictatorships around the world, where they are stoning people to death who are LGBTQ, who are women. Iran. So what this really is all about, folks, this is all about replacing American culture with a culture that they see as just, that they see as morally right and fitting. Isn't this what Hitler, Stalin, Mao, Castro, I've talked about this numerous times here on the channel. By the way, this is the Culture Confederacy. Welcome back to the channel. And if you're new to this thing we call the Culture Confederacy, here's what we do here. I'd like to say this on every video because I never know who's clicking on this video for the first time. But we talk about preserving our history and culture as Americans, preserving great art, great music, bringing to light music by lesser-known composers. And I want to have a good time on the channel. And I strongly believe that taking down statues, burning books, censoring a piece of music or a movie, or you name it, taking down a flag, it's not going to change what happened in the past. It's not healthy for society. And by taking those items down, you have no record of what came before. You have nothing to reference, nothing to learn from. That Robert E. Lee statue should have stayed up. Mentioned in my previous video, I believe it was. If you want to talk about real diversity, Governor Northam, or the mayor of Richmond, Mayor Larva Man as I call him, then keep up the Confederate battle flag or the statues to Robert E. Lee. Put up the Nazi flag, Native American symbols because Native Americans owned slaves. Well-known fact that Native American tribes owned slaves. Put up symbols of the Chinese, who still enslave people today. Remember the Mandarins ruled with an iron fist? How about we put up images of Stalin, who wiped out people in the Ukraine? If you want true diversity, put all these symbols up, offensive or non-offensive symbols. Put all these symbols up and let people decide, because when you do that, people can debate about that issue. Did I say did a debate? My throat's going out, my speech is going. But this is what this is really about. It's about replacing American culture with what these people feel is right, morally correct. Who the hell are they to make that decision? You don't run my life, bud. I run my life. This is a free country, and I will talk about whatever the hell I want. I will compose whatever piece of music I want. I will do whatever I want in this country because it's guaranteed by the Constitution. It is my God-given right to be a free man in the United States of America. Yeah, we don't know what it's like to be a black man in America. You know what it's like to be a Hispanic in America. No, maybe not, but I know how my ancestors were treated when they came over here from Germany and from Ireland. And I was talking with somebody online yesterday. Took yesterday off just to kind of screw around. Just into one of those days out where I didn't do any YouTube videos, didn't work on my music. Just need to relax. So I was debating with people, going back to this live stream they had here on YouTube over this removal of the Robert E. Lee statue. And I got into a debate with somebody. And you want to talk about someone who likes to insult people, likes to think that they know everything. And when I brought up certain issues, for example, Spain, I mentioned that because they had talked about Spain. Something was coming up about Spain in the discussion. I can't remember what. And it sounded like this person, from what I could tell, from what they said or claimed in their post, they claimed that they were some type of history professor or something. So I asked them, I said, you know, I've always seen Spain, because I have relatives who actually were over in Spain for 3 years in the 1960s. My grandfather designed the electronics for the first USS Enterprise. That was the first aircraft carrier to be nuclear powered. They were stationed in Spain for 3 years. So Spanish culture became a part of our family history, part of our heritage. And we think we have Spanish lineage going back a little bit further than that. And I was born and raised in Florida, surrounded by Spanish culture, the architecture. And when you look at Spain in general compared to other European countries, it is highly unique. And much of that has to do with the Moor invasion, the Arab influence. I mean, you can go to other countries like France or Germany, and they say that France and Spain, I believe Portugal, those three, or there's another country, I can't remember which, they're similar in many ways, but Spain is highly unique, highly individual, compared to other countries in Europe. And I know this from people who I've talked to from Spain and from my relatives who were there. I've seen photos that they took in Spain. So there's definitely a different vibe in Spain. Maybe I'm incorrect about that. And this guy was trying to make this argument, well, you're saying that Spain's not part of Europe, or you're trying to twist the argument this way or that. And when I mentioned what was going on in World War II with someone else, they said, well, we had all these beatings and this out of the other, hangings. And I said, well, wait a minute, pal. So look, at the same time that you had this going on in the South, which between 1865 to 1950, according to the Smithsonian.com, so the Smithsonian Institute put this report out, between 1865 to 1950, there were 2,000 lynchings in the South, or in general here in the United States. But at the same time, you had millions and millions of people that were killed during World War II, between 14 to 16 million. And I brought this up. And of course, whenever you do that, they try to skate around the issue. So you just love the way that these leftists like to come back at you. Whatever the issue is, whether we're talking about Spain, because I brought up the fact that we had all these conflicts in the 19th century. There was a dispute over who controlled the Mississippi. The area around Baton Rouge, that part of Louisiana, was kind of a gray area during the Louisiana Purchase, so it created a lot of problems. Talk about the Republic of West Florida, where you have this group of colonists that want to set up this colony. They tried to declare independence from Spain. U.S. government didn't want to get into a war with Spain. So that's how volatile our situation was, or our relationship was with Spain. And all of these things throughout the 19th century, these incidents, these failed negotiations with Spain and other countries, it led up to the Spanish-American War in 1898. And we helped the rebels in Cuba during the Cuban Revolt. But this person I talked to couldn't get that. So this is what you're dealing with when you talk with people out there. They want to take down statues, but they don't know the history behind it. They just assume that everything's racist now. The water you drink, that statue, that tribute to Robert E. Lee, the car you drive, the fact that you're affluent in your community, if you're white. If you're black, do you have, and you make a lot of money, are you someone who has black privilege? Should we ask Oprah Winfrey? So if you enjoyed the video, please click that like button, subscribe, hit me up on Instagram at hashtag Jason Composes, leave comments below. And now you can reach me at Twitter, Culture Confederacy. Twitter, once again, the title of this article, 133-year-old time capsule at foot of Robert E. Lee statue to be replaced by new capsule. This is by Callie Patterson. It's from the New York Post. Go check this article out. It was dated September 9th, so from yesterday, Thursday. And I will catch you next time. Once again, the Culture Confederacy saying peace out, stay safe for everybody. God bless this great country, and have a great weekend.